This is why a lot of candidates fail when it comes to asking questions in an interview. Stay until the end and I'll provide some tips on how to ask great questions. So firstly, asking questions is really important as it shows you have an interest in the role, the company, you're keen to learn more, and it's also a great way to build some rapport with the interviewer. Some examples of bad questions to ask are things like, what's my salary going to be like? How much vacation am I going to be getting? What other benefits does the company offer? These are actually great questions, and it's totally understandable that you'd be thinking about these during the interview process. They're just not great questions to ask at the end of an interview. Try and approach this different and consider these tips. Firstly, think about yourself in the role in the first year and maybe some of the questions that you might have, and be curious. For example, you might ask, what does success look like in this role? Or how will the organization support me as I ramp up in this role? Secondly, do a bit of research on the company's website and have a look at their values or principles and think about some questions to ask in the interview. For example, you could say that you're really impressed with the company's focus on X value and you'd like to learn more about it. Last tip is the best one and the one that's really going to make you stand out in the interview, and that is listen to what the interviewer is saying throughout the interview and try to come up with some questions on the back of what they're saying. For example, they may have talked about a project or initiative that they worked on with the company, so stay alert and try to think of some questions to ask on the back of this. Very last tip, if you're really struggling in the interview and you can't think of any other questions to ask at all, a good question to ask is, when can I expect to hear back? Try some of these tips out in your next interview and I promise you're really going to impress the interviewer.